Hi everyone, so I'm here today to share 4 cards that I made using Hero Art's April 2019 card kit, La Vita Bella. And this is a great card kit. There are a lot of scene building dies that you can use to make some really great Italian or Venetian type scenes. So for this first scene card that we're going to make, I just cut out several of the images from the main kit. And this image here is a little bridge that is included with the kit, and I am just drawing some little cobblestones onto the bridge so that it looks like a stone bridge, and I'm using my warm grays for that. And I'm just blending everything together, and then I'm going to darken up the edges so that we get a nice shadow effect. And then for the railing, we are going to switch to some toner grays, and I'm going to have the center of the bridge be a little bit lighter than the sides of the bridge because we are going to have a full moon right in the middle of our scene, so that is going to illuminate everything that's in the middle of the scene, and our bridge is right in the middle. So we're also going to include these 2 little building die cuts, and we're going to put those on the edges of the scene. So to start off, I just colored in some of the accents on the piece with some black Copic marker. And the items I colored in black are, there's a little railing and then also a light post. And for the buildings themselves, the base is going to be E43 and then E44 along the edges where we want it to look a little bit shadowy. And then at the end, we're going to go over our E40s with some warm gray marker. And the reason I'm doing that is because I wanted to give kind of a distressed look to the buildings. I want it to look like they're really old and that the moonlight is hitting them and causing all these different reflections. I use my Copic markers for this exercise. It's just because Copic markers are my color medium of choice. I think that it probably would have been easier to get the same effect with distress inks or distress oxide inks. So if that is your preferred color medium, then by all means you can achieve this look by using distress oxides as well. Now what I'm doing here is I am taping a piece of paper to the back side of the die cuts because I need to color in the areas where we have those little empty spaces. So the empty spaces for the windows and some of the bricks. If I didn't do this, then we would see right through to the background of the scene and it would appear blue because the sky is blue. So I wanted to make sure that our buildings had the sufficient detail in these open areas. So for the windows, I'm going to use some yellows, and my favorite yellows for this are Y21, Y23, and then Y26. It's a really, really nice muted yellow, and I think it's going to match the rest of the colors in our scene really, really well. And I kind of focus my darker shades towards the bottom of the window and then my lighter shades at the top. So it just kind of looks like there's all this life and light just emanating from the windows of these 2 buildings. And then I'm just coloring in the little open bricks there with some E43. I'm going to show you another version where I colored these bricks in with some darker marker so they appear almost black, and then you can tell me at the end which version you like better. I tend to think that I like this version better where the bricks kind of closely match the outside of the building. All right, so now we're going to move on to our little gondolier, and we're going to color his gondola in some E20s. So we're going to use E23, 25, and 29. Focusing the darker colors along the bottom of the boat and the edges. And then to really darken it up, I just put a thin line of E49 across the bottom of the boat. And the gondolier himself, he's going to be black and maybe some warm grays or toner grays. I don't think it matters. You could just use black there. All right, now we are going to move on to our background scene. And we're going to have a moon right in the center of the scene. So we're going to color that in with a W0 marker. And then we're going to go around the rim of the moon with a BG10 marker. And this sky is going to be sort of a dullish turquoise sky. I'm going to show you another version that has a dark, kind of bright blue sky, and you can let me know which one you like best. But because I had already done the blue sky, I wanted to try something a little bit different. So that's why we then went to this blue-gray or blue-green sky. And then our water is also going to be blue-green as well, but in some brighter tones. So after I apply my BG10, then we're going to go around the rim of the moon with BG72. And my marker is dying a little bit here. I probably need to refill it. And then I'm going to blend the B10 into the B72 with some BG11. And don't worry if it's looking a little splotchy here. We are going to go over it one more time to even out the color. And also, we're going to have a lot of things in front of this nighttime sky. So we're not going to see a lot of it. We're just trying to get the general gist of a full moon sky. And my BG75 marker is really dry. So if you were wondering, if you're new to Copic markers and you're wondering, well, when is it time to refill a marker? Well, when the ink starts looking like this, it's time. You'll know because you have to press harder. The tip will appear white and you'll just have to work really, really hard to get the color out. So if that happens, just go and refill your marker, because if you don't, you can damage the nib. The harder you press on the nib, I think the easier it is to wear them out. So now I am going over the edges with BG78. And then for the water, we're going to use B000 for our base. And we're just going to go back and forth. And I don't mind that it's a little bit streaky, because the streaky effect is going to help us give the effect that there's water and rippling water and some little tiny waves as well in the water. So the colors that I'm using for the water are B52, which is kind of like a bluish green color, B34, which is a really nice deep sky blue, and also maybe a little B32 here and there, and then our B000 for our lightest color. And I'm really liking the way that the water is matching with the nighttime sky. It's a really, really interesting, pretty look. And I am making sure to leave a little bit of lightness in the center of the water, because we want the moon's reflection to show in the water, and it's going to be a focal point of our scene, so we want to call some attention to it with some brightness. Now I'm taking my E75, and I have refilled it at this point, so you can see that it is working much better. And I have the cap on the chisel tip open as well. When you refill your markers, it's best to just work for a little bit with both caps off, because otherwise you can get some drippage. Sometimes your marker can drip onto your work when it's newly filled. So having both caps off kind of helps that. So I'm just blending back and forth, and the colors in the sky are BG78 for the darkest, BG75 for our mid-tone, and then BG72 and BG10 and 11 for our lightest colors. And our moon itself is warm gray. So it's W0, and then we're going to put some details inside the moon with warm gray also. So I'm going to take my W0, I'm going to make a little C shape inside the moon, and then I'm going to put some little scribbles and some little dots. Go over some of the areas with my B000 just to liven things up a little, and then blend everything out with the colorless blender. And before the colorless blender, I use some W00 also to help blend. Now I want that spot at the horizon line to be a little dark, so that's why I went back over that with my B34. We're going to add some stars to the sky with a white gel pen. So here, you want to have some larger spots, some smaller spots, just to kind of mimic all the different little ways that the stars can appear in the sky. And if you really love astronomy, I guess you could even maybe put in a little your favorite constellation into the scene. That could be cool. All right, now it's time to put the sentiment on, and the sentiment comes from the main kit, and it says La Vita Bella, life is beautiful, and we're going to put the sentiment right in the center of the moon. And I'm using black VersaFine ink for that because it's nice and sharp and crisp. And now it is time to put our little colored die cuts into the scene. So we're gonna have 3 different dimensions on this card. So our bridge is the farthest back in the scene, so it's just gonna have 1 layer of foam tape. So that's what I'm applying now. And I use my own foam tape. There are also 2 different dimensions of foam tape included in the kit. You could definitely use those for this, but I already had an open roll, so I just decided to use that. For our buildings on the side, this is a double layer of foam tape. It's a double layer of foam tape, and then the part that's going to overlap with the bridge is a single layer of foam tape so that it sits right on top of the bridge. And I'm just going to adhere both of those to the corners of our scene. And I have about a little 1/8 of an inch rim around my A2 size card there, because that's where we had the painter's tape when we did the background. So I'm being sure to place my buildings on the inside of that white tape. For our little gondolier, he has 3 layers of foam tape because he is the closest to us in the scene. So we want him to stick up, not just from the bridge, but also from the buildings. So that here I'm applying a 3rd layer of foam tape to the double foam tape that was already attached to him. And then we're just gonna place him right in the front of the scene, and I just love how that looks. Here I wanted my water to be a little bit streakier. I felt like it just looked a little bit too peaceful, so I'm trying to add in some darkness to the front. But then I realized it was kind of hard to get around, so I abandoned this course. But I still like that I was able to get the front of the water a little bit darker. All right. Now we're going to add some accents onto our scene with some glitter pen and then some glossy accents. Here I'm just darkening up the edges with some warm grays just to help show the reflection of the sun on our little buildings and to further add to the distressed look of the buildings. Now we're going to add this whole A2 size card panel to an A2 size card base. And I'm using my adhesive runner for that. And that looks good to me, but I wanted to dress it up a little bit, make it a little bit different than the first card that I had made in this style, which I'm going to show you in a second. So I'm adding some glitter pen to the water just to make it sparkle and shine. Usually when you use Copic markers, you really don't need this. But I just thought, why not? Let's give our scene a little extra. And then for the little windows, I decided to go over them with glossy accents just to reinforce the dimensionality of the scene and the fact that these are glass windows. Since we're dealing with all die cuts here and no stamped images, I thought, why not dress up our little die cuts as much as possible? So that's what I'm doing here. And I'm just putting them wherever I see yellow. I'm just adding some glossy accents to that spot. And there we have it. So that's our card, our Life is Beautiful card with our little Venetian scene. And now we're going to add some glossy accents to our gondola as well, just to help that stand out a little bit too against our background. And I just love how that looks. I love how it just makes it pop up from the scene and how it makes it so pretty and glossy. And then we're just going to put some sparkle pen along the railing of the bridge as well, which I had gone back and I just darkened up the whole railing of the bridge to make it stand up from the scene. So originally I had it lighter in the middle, and then at the end I just wanted the whole thing dark. I thought that looked better. So on the right, this is the first card that I made in this style, and I used some bright blues for the water and the sky, and I was really happy with the little reflection that I got in the middle on the blue version. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments as to which version you like best. If you're interested in knowing the colors for the blue version, I used colors in the B20s and 30s series to make the water in the sky. All right, so now moving on to the third card that I'm going to share with you. This is a nice simple card. So I took, again, the die cuts from the kit and I colored them in with Copic markers off screen. The water is done with B39, and we're just going to apply these die cuts to a white card base, I thought, why not just, since we had such a dressy background for the first two cards, let's go with something really, really clean and simple. So I thought white would be perfect. So the sentiment comes from the main kit. It says Buongiorno. Our little bridge is going to be on the left. And it's going to be popped up with one layer of phone tape. And then we are going to arrange our buildings in a different fashion than we did with the first card. So we can put them together side by side to make it appear like it is a front and side view of a building. And I got this idea by another Instagram artist. I think his name is Del and Del Artie, and he had this really great scene using this technique. So I was like, that's so cool. I want to try my own version. So that's where I got the idea to put the buildings together side by side this way, as opposed to having each of them hanging off the side of the page. So another great way to use your dies in this kit. So that's our scene. The clouds and the little birds also come from the main kit. So now we're going to move on to the fourth card, and I'm going to show you how to make this card using the Venetian Neighborhood Cling Stamp, and then also the Hero Greetings Mini Messages stamp. I'm not going to show you how to make the front of the card because there's another YouTube artist that did a really good demo of this with Copic markers. Nicole Spohr has one showing you how to color the front of the village. So I thought I would focus on the inside of the card, or the window part of the card. So when you open up the little windows on the Venetian village, we have these little messages and images behind it. So to do that, I'm going to take the matching die, and this matching die was released in November 2018 along with the gift box cling stamp. So this is called, I think, the Tiny Box die, and it also matches. There's also a stamp with envelopes that it matches that as well, and now this Venetian Village stamp is the third stamp that goes along with this die. So it's a really, really great value, and you can make really cool cards with this because you can make cards that have little windows that open up to reveal cute little messages like this. So to make it easy to tell where to stamp our images, I just took my A2 size card base and I just matched my die over the card base, so that this way when I go back later to tape my card panel on top, I'll have perfect placement. So when you open up the window, you will see these little messages behind it. So I'm just using a bunch of different little stamp pads or ink pads, and I'm trying to use rainbow colors, and the messages that I'm choosing are all kind of congratulatory, encouragement type messages. So we have "You shine," "You inspire me," "Thanks for being you," "Wow, you amaze me," and then "You're the best." And then we're going to put some little hearts as well, and the hearts come from the stamps in the main kit. And we're just going to keep stamping until we have filled in all of those little boxes, because wherever you see a box, that means there is a window that is going to open up, that the recipient can then open to get a cute little message. And for this card, we are also going to add a sentiment to the inside. So I'm just taking a sentiment from the main kit that says "Wishing you the best," and I'm just stamping it on with some black Versamark ink. And then I'm taking two of the little hearts that have a little string tied around them from the main kit, and I stamp them in raspberry ink by Lawn Fawn and color them in with a real light pink Copic marker. So to finish this card, you would just stick this card panel right here, right on top of it, and then the cute little messages are right behind. All right, so those are the cards that I have for you for part one of the cards that I'm going to make for the kit. I'm not sure how many yet, so let's just say this is part one. And these are the cards that I showed you today, including our nice, simple, clean and simple Buongiorno card, our more complex Life is Beautiful cards, and then our little Venetian Village cling stamp with a little Peekaboo surprise sayings behind the windows. So I would love to hear from you in the comments which of the cards you liked best, or which card you liked best, or maybe you had multiple and you liked a couple of them. And also, what other products from the kit and add-ons are you looking forward to seeing demonstrated? I would be more than happy to consider any requests as I go on to make part 2 for this card kit series. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great weekend, and I will see you again soon in the next video.